And there you go, the Rob Hart Trio. But now I'm sitting here with Terry Hardin. Terry, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Nadia?
I am doing great, and I am thankful for you coming up here and having the time to talk to us today on Artist on Art. Terry Hardin has been a local musician for many years. He's in a band called The Spell. You're the drummer.
Well, actually, I'm the lead singer and hand percussionist. I play congas and all the secondary percussion. We have a wonderful drummer in Killer Andrzejazowicz, who also plays with Extra Large and with the Chocolate Watch Band, one of the seminal psychedelic bands out of the Bay Area from the 60s and 70s.
What's the name of your drummer again?
Killer Andrzejazowicz.
Killer Andrzejazowicz. And who else is in The Spell, Terry Hardin?
We have a keyboard player by the name of Gary Thomas. Our guitar player's name is Johnny McCullough. And our bass player and longtime musical compatriot of mine, David Adams. So we're a five-piece rock band straight out of Santa Cruz.
Straight out of Santa Cruz. And we've got some events that we're promoting today. First of all, you're playing this Saturday, The Spell, at the first annual Pleasure Point Street Fair.
Correct.
And this will be an all-day affair starting at 11 a.m. and ending at 5 p.m. with the Mermen. Is that right? They're the
Mermen are the headliners of the event. We are coming on just before them. There will also be a couple of other bands on the bill. The Shapes and also Stock Shot are the two opening bands. And The Spell will be featuring Nadia Lewis on some of her original material that we're going to be doing for her. Doing with her, I should say.
Right, so Nadia Lewis is a guest singer that The Spell has also collaboratively created some songs together?
Well, she wrote some songs that she wanted to do at this event, and we've kind of helped her flesh them out, if you will. So we kind of feel like co-writers on this project.
That's wonderful. Nadia Lewis playing this Saturday at 3 p.m.,
Yeah, more or less. I think that's about what time we'll be coming on with these outdoor events and fairs. Sticking to a schedule is not necessarily their strong suit, but we're going to try to come on around 3 o'clock, yes.
This is great. First annual Pleasure Point Street Fair. And would you say, where would I go to get to the street fair? Right at Pleasure Point?
It's if you 41st? Focus on the intersection of 41st and Portola, that's the middle of downtown Pleasure Point, and that's where it's going to be.
And you can't miss it, folks. So that's happening Saturday, June 23rd. The next Saturday...
It's actually June 22nd.
Oh, you are correct. June 22nd is this coming Saturday, and the first annual Pleasure Point Street Fair, and with featuring music, The Spell. And then the following Friday,
correct, is
June 28th. The Spell will be playing at the Crow's Nest. And this time you have a very special guest. You're featuring...
we're featuring our good friend Nora Cruz. She's very well known around Santa Cruz area as a hardcore blues singer, and she's got a great band called the Nora Cruz Sextet, and she's been well known as a blues singer for years around Santa Cruz, but she wanted to spread her wings a little bit and try some rock material, and so we've agreed to have her come and join us at the Crow's Nest on the 28th and show her rock diva side. And judging from the rehearsals we've had so far, it's going to be a great show.
And so the show at the Crow's Nest, what time does that start at, Terry?
Downbeat on Friday night is 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Yes.
At the Crow's Nest. And y'all know where that is. That's over by the harbor. You go up East Cliff.
Yes.
And Crow's Nest is right on the beach of Twin Lakes.
Right.
That's right there.
Right.
And so how long have you known Nora Cruz? Has The Spell played with her in the past?
We have not. Because she's been so busy over the years with her projects, and we've been busy with ours, and the fact that she's been a pretty strong advocate of traditional blues performances, and we're more of a rock band. we didn't really have an opportunity to collaborate until she decided she wanted to, like I said, spread her rock diva wings a little bit. So she came to us and said, "How about we get together and try this out?" And we said, "Great idea." And so it's been great because we've had two more or less side projects to kind of help us spread ourselves out a little bit, stretch out a little bit, because we in the creative world you always want to try new things, and it's very easy to get into a rut if you don't make the effort to try new things. So this has been very good for us.
And bringing in two women's voices.
Yeah, we've been introducing a little estrogen into our environment, and it's good for us guys.
It is. And you guys have been playing together for a long time, since off and on.
The five members of the Spell have been playing together for probably 30, 40 years. God, I'm giving my age away now. We have played in various bands together. Gary Thomas, our keyboard player, and I were in the Roadhogs for a number of years together, another local band. David Adams and I were in the Artichoke Brothers band back in the 70s, around Santa Cruz and all up and down the west coast of the United States. And so yeah, we kind of have a musical tribe that we kind of move the parts around a little bit, but continue to play music and enjoy ourselves and enjoy the people in Santa Cruz coming out and dancing and having a good time with us.
And so you, Terry Hardin, have been playing the drums since high school.
Yeah, I started out playing, of course, like everybody else did, in the school band, and in high school I was the drum major, so I started my role as head show-off then, and kind of continued that as lead singer in various bands, and played kit drums, and then eventually got to the front of the stage playing hand percussion, which is where I wanted to be. It's hard to be Mick Jagger when you're sitting behind a drum kit. So, yeah, that's the way my life in music has gone, and I've been able to make a very nice career in the music technology, manufacturing, and sales world as well. So I've been in the music business as well as the music pleasure side of things.
That's the best way to marry those two worlds. It's very hard to make it as a professional musician or a professional artist that is living off of their work, and so a lot of artists have to augment their income through regular jobs, and your regular job happens to be with the synthesization of drum sounds, of percussion.
Well, it's not actually synthesizing it. The company I work for now is called F Expansion, and we have a product called BFD2, which is a drum sound workstation. So it is very high quality samples or recordings of drums with tremendous velocity layers. I could go into technical talk, but I won't. But it's BFD2 is arguably the best drum sound workstation on the market, and it works with products like Pro Tools, which of course is used by pretty much everybody in the recording world, and it allows a person doing digital composition or digital recording to have high quality real drum sounds on their project without actually having to go to the trouble and expense of recording drums, because you can record just about any instrument, your voice or any instrument, in your bedroom these days with the technology available, but recording really real sounding drums very well, you can't do that in your bedroom. You have to have a studio environment and lots of mics, because the room is part of the drum sound.
And we've had some fascinating talks, you and I, Terry, about what the shape of that room would be like to get the best sound. I think I mentioned to you hearing some Led Zeppelin story about John Bonham setting up his kit together in a stairwell, and that the house that they had been renting at the time, I think it might have been actually with Kashmir, had this like 3-story house, and that had this really grand opening where the sound caught the drums in such a way that gave it that specific. He was listening, or he had imagined the sound and then found the environment to make that sound.
Right, and most of the...
And it wasn't in the studio.
No. Most of your major studios these days, or have for number of years, they will build a drum room with different reflective surfaces and absorbing surfaces, everything from wood to granite. And typically they are, like 2 or 3 stories high. They have very high ceilings because for some reason that airspace adds to the believability of the sound of the drum.
And that airspace has to be vertical as opposed to horizontal, which I think is kind of interesting.
I don't know if I would say that is a necessity, but right. It seems to work. In all the drum rooms I've ever been in, yes, they are very tall, not very big around.
Right. It's fascinating. Terry Hardin, he's the percussionist and lead singer for The Spell, and he's here today on Artist on Art, talking about 2 events. Y'all are playing all the time, though. You just played this last weekend at the Reef, but this next Saturday, June 22nd, Terry with The Spell will be playing at Pleasure Point Street Fair. This is the first annual Pleasure Point Street Fair. I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. And they will be having a special guest, Nadia Lewis, who will be coming in and doing some of her original music that has some compositional impression by The Spell. And that should be playing around 3 p.m. There's quite a couple different bands that are playing at the Pleasure Point Street Fair, and The Spell are featured, and then the headliners are the Mermen. They're
Correct.
Playing last.
Yes.
And again, the best way to find Pleasure Point Street Fair would be just to go down 41st and hit up Portella and
well, they're going to actually block off Portola between 38th and 41st Avenue. So if you come up from the west side where we are here at UCSC, you could come up Portola and get to 38th, and you're going to have to find a place to park.
That's right.
Or if you come 41st, I'm sure that you probably...
You'll be diverted to a
you'll find it.
Place.
You will find it.
You'll run into it.
It's downtown Pleasure Point.
And then also The Spell can be found on Friday, June 28th at the Crow's Nest. And that night, the very special guest will be Nora, Cruz, usually another well-known local musician who usually does blues, but she's putting in a little rockness into her repertoire and will be performing with The Spell at the Crow's Nest. Terry, tell us some of the songs. You brought in a thumb drive, which I was unable to play, so that the audience could get a flavor of your music. But just describe to us, what are some of the songs that you like to sing?
Well, we're all over the map. We've reached this point in our musical career, where if we like a song, we make the decision, okay, let's see if we can put a spell arrangement on it. And so I think on the thumb drive I had for you, we had the Chuck Berry composition Nadine.
All right.
But it doesn't sound anything like Chuck Berry or any other arrangement of that song. We have one where Gary Thomas, our keyboard player, who also sings lead on some of the songs, doing a Bonnie Raitt song called Something to Talk About. Then let's see, an old song by Eric Burdon and the Animals called Misunderstood, with once again the spell arrangement on it. We're all over the map. We like everybody from Bruno Mars to the Beatles to the Rolling Stones. We just have a pretty eclectic set list. And the biggest problem we have on any given night is which songs we're going to end up playing, because we have so many that we have, we've developed over the years.
Yeah, 30, 40 years, you've got a long time.
That's one of the advantages of being around for as long as we have, yes.
You've got a lot of songs that you can choose from.
Right.
So what would be some of the songs? I'm just forecasting for this Saturday at the Pleasure Point Street Fair? What would be some of the songs we might be able to hear?
Well, you're going to get to hear at least you're going to get to hear 3 of Nadia Lewis's brand new songs. I mean, she wrote them specifically for this performance, so
that's a sure thing.
That's a sure thing. As far as the rest of the set list goes, we haven't even put that together. We're going to be rehearsing this evening. That's when we'll figure that out.
Right on.
But it'll be a rocking good show.
I'm sure, and there'll be some surfer sun inspiration in that.
Yeah, well, we've all spent our time paddling out here at Santa Cruz. You can't live in Santa Cruz and not have spent some time in the ocean, so yeah, that's always influencing us.
And particular at Pleasure Point.
Yeah.
One of the best.
That's one of the best
spots, for sure.
Well, the west side is the best side, but I'll give those east siders a little bit.
Hey, if they can put on a good fair, I'm there. All the way. Pleasure Point Street Fair this Saturday at 3 p.m. That's June 22nd. The Spell will be playing with Nadia Lewis. The Spell is a local band that have been... You've been around for a couple decades, and you play pretty much a couple times a month, wouldn't you say, Terry?
Yeah, well, we consider a busy month if we have, say, 3 bookings in that month, simply because a couple of members of, well, actually 3 members of our band play in other bands. So that kind of limits the amount of spell gigs, and then... the rest of us, the other 2 of us, have our careers, which take up time, and families and all that sort of thing. So we do this because it's fun to do, not because we're trying to make it. We feel we've already made it in the fact that we can continue to play for people after all these years. We're still doing it, and we will continue to do it, just like Duke Ellington and all these other famous musicians who played until they pounded the last nail in their casket.
Yeah, just like the story we heard with Rob Hart.
Right.
John Seppola. So, Terry Hardin, that kind of gives me the reason why I can't be able to say what your website is, because you don't have one, but you are on Facebook.
Yes, we do have a Facebook page. It's The Spell SC for Santa Cruz. So you can check out information about the band, and there are some MP3s posted there, and I try to keep up with it. It is that's a career unto itself, keeping up with the social media.
Right. But it's good just to at least have the Facebook so that people can find out when you're playing next, if they're on Facebook. Otherwise, you can listen to Artist on Art, and I'll tell you where they're playing next, and that's at Pleasure Point Street Fair this Saturday, June 20th.
So just tune in to Nada. She'll give you the scoop.
I'll give you all the best scoop. And Nadia Lewis will be joining them to sing 3 songs that she specifically wrote for the Pleasure Point.
Yeah, she's going to do a couple of cover songs as well. She's sat in with us before, and people who have seen her perform with us know what I'm talking about, but she will blow the room away. Right
on. And then the next Friday, June 28th, The Spell will be playing at Crow's Nest, and this time they'll be featuring the very special guest, Nora Cruz, at the Crow's Nest, 9 o'clock.
Correct. That's typical Friday downbeat at the Crow's Nest at 9 o'clock. And we play till noon. That is midnight. That's musician term for midnight.
That's just getting going at midnight. That's right. Got your coffee, you got warmed up, you're ready to go. And tell us, just to give us a little more information about what kind of music you play. What are some of your favorite songs to sing, Terry?
Oh, boy. Well, we discovered a couple of years ago a band out of Southern California called Venice. And they are comprised of the offspring of the Lennon sisters.
Wow.
Who were on the Lawrence Welk television show. So they were in Lawrence Welk's organization. And, of course, they all had families and children, and all the boys grew up to form a band called Venice. And we started doing a couple of their songs. One of them is called I'll Keep My Fingers Crossed, and the other one is The End of the World. And they are just wonderful songs. They've got great vocal hooks. And the guys in the spell, they're all top-notch instrumentalists, so they have taken the arrangement and run with it. So those are two of my favorites right now, simply because they're relatively new. But I love covering Joe Cocker-style arrangements, because that's kind of where my voice tends to go when I'm really pushing it. Put me on the spot here.
I'm sorry. Will you do Mick Jagger? Will you do the Rolling Stones?
We do not do any Rolling Stones material. Not that we are not Rolling Stones fans. It's just that it's never occurred to us to do their material. It almost kind of seems hacky for us to cover Rolling Stones. We like to cover more obscure material. Another one of our huge favorites is John Hyatt. We will choose his arrangement of his material over someone like Bonnie Raitt or somebody else who has covered John Hyatt's material. We also like Delbert McClinton, an old Texas blues guy. He's the guy who taught John Lennon how to play the harmonica for some of their material back in the day. So he's been around forever, but he's another Texas blues guy that we like his material, so we cover some of his. Johnny Lang is another one of our favorites. We do a couple of his songs. I'm not opposed to singing songs that women have written and recorded. Sometimes that's the best thing to do if you want to get a little emotion into your material, into your delivery, is sing a lyric that a woman wrote instead of my gender.
Right, like Loretta Lynn.
Yeah, that would be. Now you've given me some ideas.
Terry Hardin, he is the percussionist and lead singer of Santa Cruz's own The Spell. His band and his will be playing this Saturday at Pleasure Point Street Fair. I'm so excited. This is going to be wonderful. Pleasure Point Street Fair at 3 p.m. Around that time. The fair itself, it runs from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And they're going to have a special guest, Nadia Lewis, who's going to blow the top off the street fair. And then the following Friday, June 28th, The Spell will be playing at Crow's Nest, and that will be featuring the very special guest, Nora, Cruz. Thanks for coming up, Terry.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. I hope you can come back on. Up next in the new summer schedule is Whiskey Town. Please stay tuned. And we're going to take it out with a little Cesario Evora. Thanks for listening, everybody. And thanks, Vanya Benavides, for live tweeting during the show, Artist on Art. And if you missed any part of this, please go to artistonart.com and you'll get to see the video, hear the podcast, and get all the links to the information we've been talking about today. Thanks for listening, everybody, and stay tuned.